started. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian. I'm a senior project manager here at Square. We specialize in CiviCRM custom development. We use different CMSs, Drupal and WordPress. We'll touch on that in a second. I've been with Square for what is it, 8 years, something like that. I've been a web development project manager for I don't know, 12, 13 years now. I've been working with Drupal about that long, and CiviCRM for 7 or 8 years as well. So for those of you that don't know, CiviCRM is a contact or customer or constituent relationship manager. So it keeps track of all the people related to your organization. And one cool thing about this compared to some other like membership and contact relationship managers, this one is open source. So you don't have to pay a monthly service fee to use it. You don't have to host it on some other company's web server that has all your data and stuff like that. So you have all of your data that you own and have access to. There's no monthly fees. And with open source technology, you have a community of people contributing to it. So rather than having one developer or a couple of developers develop a whole system for you, you have hundreds or dozens of people across the entire world adding new features, fixing bugs and stuff like that. So there's continual improvement. CiviCRM can do a lot more than just keeping track of all the contacts and stuff that you're related to. It can track activities. So some are automated, some can be done manually. So for example, let's say you call a person, you can manually create an activity for them, or you send out a bulk email for marketing, then it'll automatically create an activity. So you can go to a contact and you can see all of the different interactions that you've had with this person. You can also schedule events through CiviCRM. That's what we did for this one. You can manage membership records, and then also donations and contributions for fundraising. It's extendable, again, since it's open source. Developers have access to the full code base, unlike something, you know, like a Salesforce, where everything's locked down. So you have the ability to really customize and do just about anything you want to do. It's all web-based, so you can access it from a browser anywhere in the world. They also have a CiviCRM mobile app, which you can configure. It's a separate extension, but with the mobile app, it'll give you tools to look up contacts, and it's helpful for like event registration. So for example, or event attendance, I guess I should say. So take, for example, you have an event, people show up in person, you can use your mobile app to say that they've shown up and are attending the event. And it's internationalized, so it's used all over the world. You can configure different languages, you can configure different addresses, like maybe provinces instead of states, or dollars versus pounds or euros, etc. And the most important part is it's free. You can install CiviCRM with your website if you have one of the supported content management systems, and start using it today. So integrating with your website, it works with other open source content management systems, primarily Drupal, WordPress, and Joomla. So if your website is built in Drupal, WordPress, or Joomla, you can install CiviCRM in it and start using it today. Now, each one of these content management systems have their own advantages. We're going to focus on Drupal today. The main reason for that is CiviCRM Entity. CiviCRM Entity is a module for Drupal and CiviCRM that connects CiviCRM with the Drupal website. So you can do things like pull data from your CiviCRM database, whether it's membership information or contact information or contribution records. You can pull all that into your Drupal website, put it in your website theme, so you now have like a nice interface for people to look through instead of just the backend CiviCRM theme. That also gives you the ability to set permissions like you would any other Drupal page or content. So for example, we can create a report using CiviCRM Entity, and we can make it available to the general public or maybe just certain users, user roles in the site. Whereas if we didn't have that and the reports only lived in CiviCRM, they would have to have access to CiviCRM in order to see that stuff. So it helps with opening up some of the permissions to some of these pages. So what I want to spend most of the time on today is setting up something using CiviCRM Entity. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a membership directory similar to the screenshot. We're going to have a directory that allows any user to search for members by their name, by their state, by the type of membership they have, by the status, whether or not they're current, and then we can see all of them on a map. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to just pop them into the chat here in Zoom, and we'll go through them at the end. Now, in this demo, we're going to be looking at a site built in Drupal 9. So we're going to be using the views module, which has had a little bit of an overall haul from Drupal 7 to Drupal 9. So I do know for a fact that there are some people on this call today using Drupal 7. We can still do all the same things that we're going to be looking at today, just a couple of little nuances, maybe slightly different. So we have our demo site here. I'm going to open up this views module and go to structure, views, add views. I'm going to turn my camera off real quick. It's going slow. Okay, so we're going to give this view a name. We're going to make it a membership directory. And so the membership directory, we're going to have a list of contacts that have an active membership. So here in the view settings, we're going to select the type of entity that we want the view to be based on. So since this is a bunch of contacts, we're going to select in here CiviCRM contact. And we want to create a page. So membership directory, this path and everything title can be updated later. So if you want to change it, we can. For our purposes, I'm going to set the display to 25. So we'll see 25 contacts on a page, and then you'll have to click to the next page if you want to see the next 25 of them, etc. Okay, hold on 1 second here. Oh, I already created a membership directory once, so gotta give that a new name. Okay, so this is the view of the views module. As soon as it's loaded, this does look the same as Drupal 7. Again, they'll be very similar. There's just a couple of little things like maybe adding relationships are a little bit different. They've kind of separated things a little bit more in the newer versions. So when you are setting up a view and you want to pull information from different entities, so we have our contacts, we want to make sure that the contacts have a membership. So there's got to be like this bridge between contacts and memberships. So we can do that by adding a relationship. If I were to come in here, oh, hang on 1 second. I'm going to change this to fields, so we can add whatever fields we want here. Okay, so if I were to come in here and try to add a new field of, let's say, membership type, I don't even have that option here. And that's because we don't have that bridge or relationship to memberships from our contacts. So I always tell people, if you try to add a field and you don't see it in the list, it's probably because a relationship needs to be created. So we're going to add a relationship. I'm just going to search for membership. Just take the first one there. And we'll just apply. All right, now if we go over to the fields, we can see membership type and all sorts of other stuff related to memberships. Now I know in my membership directory, I want to display a person's phone number and address. And those are separate entities here in CiviCRM Entity. So again, if I were to come in here and search for phone number, there is no phone number field option. So we have to add a relationship for phone number. So we're going to add phone. And I'm just going to select the primary phone here. I know I'm going quick, but I just want to remind everyone we're going to record this and I'm going to send you all a copy of it so you can come back and look at it at your own speed. So on top of the phone number, I want to display some address. Like I want to know where these people are. So we're going to put them on a map here in a little while. So we're going to do the primary address again. Okay, number, phone, address. Let's put the email in there too. And we'll just do the primary again. Okay. So if I scroll down, I'm starting to see some information populate here. This is the preview screen down at the bottom. What we're seeing down there, all those names, is this field right here, display name. So this is the name that you see at the very top of the contact record when you're viewing it in CiviCRM. We click on it, there's some options and stuff that we can put in here. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a label and I'm just going to say name. Okay, so now we have a name label here next to each of our contacts. I don't like the way that that's looking. So we're going to change our format here to a table. I'm just going to apply these default settings. Okay, so you can see we start having a column structure here where we have our label up at the top, and then here's all of our display names. Let's add some other fields that may be helpful. I want to know who these people work for. So let's add their current employer. Click. Okay, let's add their phone number. So again, now that I have the relationship to the phone, I can click phone here. And I'm just going to scroll down real quick. You can see these columns are starting to appear down in the preview. Let's add some more. All right, email address. Okay. Now I want to show you all something. This is a little maybe a little advanced, but it's nice to know that the option is available. So I have an email address field here. When we go and look at the page, it's going to show my email address. But let's say I want to make it clickable. So somebody clicks on it and then it opens up my email program and puts their name, their email address in the to field automatically. So each of these view fields in the views have this option to rewrite the results. And these first two options I use fairly often. So we can override the output with custom text. So maybe I want to say, send email instead of just displaying their email address. So I can put whatever text I want to display here. You can leave it blank and it'll just show their email address. Now I want to link this send email text to the actual email address. So I'm going to click on that. And I know from experience that the email address link format starts with mail to, colon, and then we want to put a token in here for the email value. So that way each link, each time we see send email for every row, it's going to have that person's email address and not just some static one. So to figure out the token we need to use, down here towards the bottom, you'll see replacement patterns. So this is showing every field that we have available that's above this field. So if you've added fields and you don't see it in this list, it's possible you may need to rearrange the order of the fields and make sure that you have the one that you need the token above the field that you're trying to rewrite. I'm just going to take this raw value. I don't want any kind of formatting since we're making this a link. And I'm going to just copy this whole thing with the curly brackets. And then I'm going to come back up here to our link path and pop that in there just like that. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so now instead of seeing all the email addresses, it just says send mail. If I were to click on one of these, you can see it in the bottom left-hand corner. You might be able to see it says mail to sunil@square.com. So that is what we were just doing with our rewriting as a link. We have our mail to, and then it put his real email address in after mail to. And you could see if I hover over each of these, they're different email addresses. Oh, it opened Chrome on me. So once that link is clicked, your email program, whether it's Outlook or whatever you have installed on your computer, it will open up and it will put that email address in the to field of the email automatically. Let's add some more information. I want to know what state these members are in. So I'm going to select state. I'm going to shorten this label a little bit. We don't need province ID. That's not very American here. And then there's different format options. So by default, it's going to display the whole state name, Texas, Arizona, etc. We can select state, province, ISO, and that'll show the abbreviation. I'm going to select that just so it doesn't take up so much room on the screen. I don't want this table that we're building to be so wide it pops out of the website. So we're going to use the abbreviations here. I'm going to apply that. So we can see the abbreviated states are starting to appear over here. So that's kind of all the contact information I think I want to show to all of my users on my website. I also want to know more about their memberships. So let's add some membership fields. On this demo site, we have a couple of different membership types. So I'm going to search for membership type. Okay, we'll apply that. And now you can see over here, I've got gold and platinum. So these are the names of our memberships. We have a gold membership and a platinum membership. Okay, I also want to know What is the status of this membership? Where is my status field? I think I may have added the wrong relationship earlier. Let's go back to advanced. I think this is the one we want. Oh, I love live demos. Jenna, if you're there, let me know if you're seeing something that I'm missing, because there's no CiviCRM membership relationship option. I should have something that just says CiviCRM membership.
I'm here, but you know views much better than I do. What
Yeah,
you're building.
it's strange. Let me just double check a couple of things. So we've got our contacts. Okay. I should just be able to add CiviCRM membership.
Brian, you may have to add CiviCRM contact first before it would give it to you.
That's weird. I didn't do that on my other one, but it was just there. Okay. Well, so we're going to add, it's a view of contacts though. That's weird.
Brian, that one was address.
Thanks. So I'm going to rearrange these. I'm going to remove those ones I just added. Hmm. Okay. That's so strange. Okay. Well, we're going to pivot. I have built this already. So we're going to just walk through what I've already done here. So you can see here in the relationships, when I click add, they have like these options for CiviCRM membership. So if you all are trying to do the same thing and follow along and you encounter the same issue, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send everyone my contact information after this call. So here I've added the status. So this is going to show us whether or not the membership is new or expired or current. Then I've added member since. So in CiviCRM, there's 3 dates. Member since is when they originally signed up for a membership. The start date may or may not be the same as member since. And then there's the expiration date. So I want to display all of these down here. And we can see that they're populating over here on the right. Now I want to add these filters up here at the top. Display name, I want to search for somebody. Let's say like Brian, click apply. Okay. Just set that back. I want to search by, let's say state. I want to search by different membership types, and I want to search by statuses. So these are things that I want somebody, any user, to be able to change and filter the list below. So in this filter section, just like fields, we click add, and then we add whatever field that we want to use as a filter. Okay, I'm going to go back and we'll just look at one of these. So for display name, first things first, when you add a filter, by default, it's just going to filter everything like in the back end. What we want to do is we want to expose this filter to visitors and allow them to change it. So once I check this box, we're going to get that little field above the list there that allows you to type something in. Now, for something like a name or anything that's really like a text field that you use for filters, I always recommend making this operator contains. Okay, by default it's set to equals to, which means you would have to type exactly what the display name is for it to show up in the list. If it's contains, you can have a partial match. So for example, you saw me earlier, I typed in the word Brian. My display name is actually Brian Daniels, but it popped up because I have display name set to the contains operator. Okay, and we can apply that. And we would just do the same for every field here. So we expose it. In this case, is the proper option, because we only want them to be able to select one state. Now, if for some reason you did want to allow them to select multiple states, you can click this allow multiple selections. Okay, and I'm going to apply that. We'll see how this looks. So now down here, I can hold down Control and I can select multiple options. So if I were to apply this filter, I should get a list of members that are only members that are from Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas. Okay, and then we have header and footer fields here. So these are just kind of nice to haves that I put on this one. If we add a field, you can always search for text and add a text area. So if you want to put like some introduction text above the list, you can add this field and type whatever you want in there. What I've put in here is the results summary. So when we add this, it's going to show us the number of results. So let's say I filtered by Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas, like we saw a second ago, and there's 10 members. We're going to see a little counter that says showing, 10 results. And I just added that as a header and footer option here. Just, again, kind of nice to have. Okay. Now, we have our directory view. We have a list of people, their employers, their phone numbers, their email addresses, state, what kind of membership they have, status, member since start date, expiration. Now you'll notice that some of these are black up here in the column headers, some are blue. These ones that are blue, you can click to sort. And we can choose which columns we want to be sorted by. If we come up here to the format section where we set table, in the settings, you can simply check the boxes for which columns you want people to be able to click. So that's why we're seeing some blue and some black. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to put all these people on a map. So what we do in this case, and I want to make the map appear right below this list. So if we can see down here in the preview now, I have a map of pinpoints, and I want that to just appear below the list of all the members. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to this little drop down, and I'm going to duplicate as attachment because we want to attach this map to this page. I'll just show you all what that looks like real quick. So as soon as I do that, we're going to have all the fields and filters and everything that were already set in our page are automatically going to be transferred over to our attachment. Now I'm going to jump back to this one I had already created just for the demo. And originally on our page, the format here was set to table. What we want to do now is we would select a leaflet map. And I'm sorry, let me preface. There is a separate map module that will need to be installed if you want to display a map on your site. So we'll select the format leaflet map, apply that. And if we click settings, out of the box, we would see a message here that says something like there's no latitude. So here you have to select the longitude and latitude fields of your address so it knows where to plot these points. So again, we've created this brand new. We don't have latitude and longitude fields. If we were to go into settings here, it would display a message telling us so. So I'm going to cancel that. And I've added latitude and longitude fields to this attachment view now. And I did that the same way as all the other fields. I just clicked add and I searched for latitude and I searched for longitude. Okay, so this starts building our map. Again, all these pinpoints here are based on the latitude and longitude of our members. So once we have those fields added, come back to settings here. You would select the latitude and longitude here. The description field is what appears when you click on the pinpoint on the map. So what I want people to see when they click on that is I want them to see this member's name. So if we click in here, you can see all the different fields that we've added to this view are selectable, and I've selected display name. And there's some other options you could explore and try, you know, height and hide if empty and all this stuff, zooming. I'm just going to leave all the defaults there. Okay, now in order for this to appear below my page, there is this attach to link. Let's jump back over to attachment 2 so you can see what it looks like out of the box. So right now it says attach to not defined. If I click on not defined, you have these options here. So I would select page. I want to attach this view to this page that we created, and it's referring to this page tab right here. And you can say, where do you want it to appear? Do you want it to appear before the page or after the page or both? And jump back over to our live example here. So here I've said attach it to the page, attach the position to after. And then I set these filter options to yes. So this means when I go to the page and I filter by state, for example, I want my map to also filter by state. If we didn't have this set, if it was set to no, then they would be independent of each other. So I may filter the list of people and it says I have 4 results, but in the map you see 100 results. So checking this will make them in sync with each other. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my page tab. And I skipped over this a second ago. There is a path field here, which when we created the view, this was set automatically. But you can alter this and make it whatever you wanted. So if you wanted it /member/directory, you would just type that in here. So to see the page, I can either manually type that in and go to it, or over here on the right, there is a view page link. So here we have our membership directory. It's showing within our website theme. So the headers and footers, your menus and all that stuff from your website would be visible. And it's going to inherit other things from our themes, like our field stylings, our button stylings, our colors, and all that stuff. So here we have a list of all of our contacts. And I have a map of all of them. Oops, the Zoom's going crazy. Let's apply a filter. I want to see a list of people in Texas. Okay, so now all these people here are from Texas. I've got some that are new and current, but I've also got some that are expired. So I want to say I only want current members here. So now I've filtered the list. Here's all of our members that have an address in Texas and their current, their membership status is current. We have 4 results here in the list, and now we have 4 pinpoints here on the map. If I click on one of these, the display name appears, and I have it set up so when you click on the name, it goes over to the CiviCRM contact record. If somebody doesn't have permission to see a contact record, like if they're an anonymous user, you just wouldn't be able to get to this page. So this use case in particular is beneficial for, admins and people that have permission to access CiviCRM. Okay, just another quick example here. So I'm going to keep that current. I just changed the state filter and I'm going to click apply. So what I want to know is simply how many members do we have that are current? I don't care where they are. I just want to know how many we have. I don't even care who they are right now. So I applied the filter current, and we can see up here, this is that results counter. So we're displaying 25 just because we had in our view settings to display 25 per page. This could be changed. You can make it 50 or display all or 10 or whatever. But we're seeing 25 records, but there's a total of 48. And if I come down here, the pager's disabled. There should be a pager to go to the next page. So here's a way you can quickly get some information about your members. If I wanted to say, as we saw, for example, Texas members with the current status, we would apply those. We can just look up here at the results counter and just know, oh, we've got 5 people from Texas that are current. This is also really helpful with the expired status. So if you want to see everyone that's expired, we know that there's maybe 56 people we want to reach out to and tell them to renew their membership. Okay. That is pretty much creating a membership directory in a nutshell. Now, I know I said in my webinar descriptions that we would look at some other reports like top donors and stuff like that. I don't think that we're going to have time to go through all of those things due to some of my technical difficulties. So we are going to be having these training webinars every month. Every second Tuesday of the month, we'll be having one of these. So we'll schedule another one, and we'll build out another example of some of these reports, maybe a donor report or some other type of information where we pull from CiviCRM into the Drupal website. And you'll all get emails and notifications of these other webinars as they come up. So I have not noticed any questions in the chat. If anyone has anything, maybe it's a specific example or hey, why did you do that? Feel free to pop them in the chat of Zoom. There should be a little chat button on your screen there. Next month, our host for the training webinar series will be Mark Hanna. He's the senior architect, senior developer, pretty much lead developer on everything here at Square. He's going to be showing some more technical stuff related to this. So it'll kind of be geared a little bit more towards developers, but I still encourage you to attend because even though there may be some technical things above your head, I think it's always nice to know the capabilities of what can be done. So we do have a question about removing fields. So I'm going to jump back over to our view. So we're on the edit section, and let's go back even further. So let's say that I'm on the home page. The view section, both in Drupal 7 and newer versions of Drupal, it all lives under structure. So I'm going to go to structure, views, and here's a list of all the ones that we created. So I know this one is the one that we were just looking at, our membership directory test. I'm going to click edit. And let's just go over to our attachment 2 that we created when we were looking at this the first time. So let's say I want to delete one of these date fields. So I can click on the field, and then down here at the bottom, there's a remove link. And the same method would apply to filters. We can click on it and then click the remove link. There is another way to do it if you needed to delete several of them. We can click this arrow and go to rearrange, and then there's remove links for each field here. So I can quickly remove all those dates and click apply. You can also reorder them. So if you all remember when we were rewriting the email address, so it does the mail to email, I said that you can see a list of tokens that are above the email address. So for example, I had tokens for our email field, that one counts, the phone, employer, etc. We did not have tokens available for state, membership type, status, etc. So those fields have to be above the one that you want to use the token for. So to give you an example, I can click and drag state above email, click apply. Now, if I go to email, rewrite results, come and look at our replacement patterns, we now have the state token available. So if you don't see a token in your list, that may be the reason, is that the fields are not in the right order. So the same way you would delete a field in bulk is the same way that you would reorder, and you just drag up and down and click apply. So after you make any changes, whether you're adding a field, removing a field, maybe changing one of those settings like the rewrite or selecting state things, the view has to be saved. And you get this nice warning up here at the top. So you have unsaved changes. That means it knows that I changed something. It's just not going to show up on the front end. So anytime we make a change, we do have to click the save button down here at the bottom. Also, it has a feature to where two different people can't be editing the same view at a time. So again, this would be more of like a developer type thing, somebody creating these things. But let's say, for example, I'm already editing it and Jenna were to go try to edit this view, she would get a message that says something like Brian Daniels is editing this view and it's locked. And you have options to like break that lock and everything. But it's nice to know that you can't have two people like overriding each other all the time. Now, there are permissions for accessing the page or any of these, each of these tabs they call view displays. So you have permissions on the displays. So here under page, there's this access option. And we can select one of these. I'm just going to select permission for now. And then we get a list of permissions. So this is really helpful if maybe you have a whole bunch of different user roles and they all have similar permissions. You can select one of these. Me personally, I think a lot of my clients have a reasonable amount of user roles. So when I select an option, I usually just select a role. And then here we could check which one should have access to this. So if I do not check anonymous user, you have to be logged into the website in order to see this page. Otherwise, you're going to get an access denied. Let's see, we have a question about permissions around what filters someone can see. Out of the box, I don't think that there's an option to hide a filter based on a permission or user role. The main thing is changing the access of the entire page. Jonathan has a question about aggregation. So every once in a while, you may see a bunch of duplicates in there, or maybe you want to count a number of people or something like that. Over here in the advanced section, there is this option, use aggregation. I'm going to turn that to yes. I don't know what it's going to do since I don't have, I may not have my field set up correctly. Yeah, looks like it's going to do something weird. So after we enable aggregation, there are aggregation settings fields that appear next to each one. So if I click on that, by default, the type is going to be group results together. So this is helpful if you have a bunch of duplicates. It's just going to automatically try to group them together. Now you have other options here as well, like count. Hang on one second. I think I have a view showing a count of something. Let me just see if I can find it real quick. Okay, my example isn't there, but basically in the aggregation settings, let's say I wanted to count how many members we have per state. I would edit that settings for that state field and change it to count, and that would count how many there are. And then there's some other options here as well. I think maybe straightforward. Jonathan, does that answer your question? Okay. Good. All right, well, we have a few minutes left. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. Like I said, we'll send a follow-up email. It'll have a link to this recording. I'll put some links to some other resources in there. CiviCRM Entity is a module that Square helps maintain, so we contribute new features and bug fixes to the module all the time. So with that being said, we also have a bunch of blog articles on our website. So if you go to square.com and go to the blog, you'll find a whole bunch of blog articles about CiviCRM Entity. So I encourage you to look through some of those. You might get some ideas of how else it could be used. As I mentioned, we'll be having another session every second Tuesday of the month. Next month, it's geared a little bit more towards developers, but I don't think it's going to be too technical for any of you. And again, I always encourage you to join, even if it's over your head. It's nice to know that you have the capability of doing such a thing. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope you learned something, and we'll talk to you next month. Thanks, everyone.